my share of donuts.
A type of donut is enough for you.
I know,
that's why
that's what's insulting.
That's what was stunning to me.
That's what's insulting. This time we'll start it off right. Welcome to the Boiled Sports Half an Hour.
Wait, we won't do an hour of podcasts before we intro?
There's a clip in there because I feel like we've been talking about cheesecake for 25 minutes.
We had somebody get very mad at us in the comments. I don't know if you guys saw that.
They did?
Very mad at us for not talking enough about football, talking too much about cheesecake. So let's talk about donuts.
I was going to say, we opened this talking about donuts. I refuse. If you are coming for cogent football analysis, there is no Purdue podcast for you, my friend. This is the only one that you have.
Here's the weird thing. We've got nobody here, which is very unusual.
Aneesh probably made the link private.
I did not make the link private, my friend.
You've never made mistakes with the link before. My apologies.
You know what? Maybe.
Hey guys, there we go. Okay, cheesecake is awesome. Good. Thank you guys for attending. I'm gonna celebrate something. And I don't have any idea when stuff like this happens. I don't know if you guys saw it. The Quickcast, the most recent one, had over 1,000 views in YouTube.
There we go.
Native YouTube views. No idea why.
Because it's a good weekend. People at Purdue fans can't get enough.
Yeah, the numbers should be good this year if basketball continues on this trend.
Yeah.
How are the girls? No idea what Nathan Hartman's talking about, but
I don't know either.
Todd,
I think he's talking about us. I think we're the girls.
Factory. Oh man, Todd, and you're still here to talk about it? My goodness,
donut. You would smell like heaven every day. I think it would be too much for me. I'd be chewing on my own arm.
It would be too much. Yeah, I don't know if I could resist.
So this weekend was another. First of all, we'll talk about. It was a good Purdue weekend. It was a very good Purdue weekend. I believe
it was good.
I touched on that in the quick cast on Sunday. I don't remember. I've lost track.
What are days?
But it started off.
Is this the best? Is that the best Purdue sports weekend ever?
I don't know about ever, but it's like of recent memory, there aren't many to choose from. I mean, like the Sweet 16 win.
Yeah. Obviously, an NCAA tournament, weekend where you sweep through is very, very good because it's a bigger stage. But that was a fun weekend.
I watched the football game. Aneesh watched it. Well, we'll talk about Aneesh's experience in a moment. I watched the game in a sports bar at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, awaiting the basketball game on Saturday. So talk about a nice lead up, in a sports bar. We had to ask, of course, this is the best part. We had to ask multiple times to put the Purdue Northwestern game on. The bar was 85% Purdue people.
Oh my God! I'm so glad you also had this experience. But
now it was in the Northeast. It was on the Overflow channel, right? The Northeast was showing in the Big Ten Network was showing Penn State Rutgers. Whew.
Yeah, battle of the powerhouses.
No one should want to have to watch that, even Penn State Rutgers fans. So they finally put Purdue on, and we were there the whole time. It was so wonderful to watch that. It was so great. Milton Wright going from early in the season looking like he never caught a football to being
like we were saying
short-handed.
He was catching everything. That comeback route where he fought through the defender.
How about the one where
it's a different guy. It's a different guy.
Hitch and then left the defender. The defender you can almost read as like thought bubble. Like I'm a DB at Northwestern. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just getting burned like toast, like over and over too.
I'm going to be successful in something other than football.
Yep.
Wait, did I say that right?
That's the commercial.
They're the one of them. Yes, he's the one. He
was almost shaking his head after he got burned. He's not going to catch right.
No.
And he's just his head's just moving like this a little bit, and you're like, yeah, I feel you, buddy.
Well, the funny thing is they were putting so much manpower into stopping Bell that they left the same two guys got burnt by Wright over and over and over. And I don't know anything about them, but I assume they were like team managers. Because it was 24-11. Those two guys, man, they were getting posterized. They over and over and over on the highlight reel. That's tough.
It was beautiful. It was awesome.
Purdue's wide receivers have been putting a lot of guys on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
I never bothered to learn his name. That Michigan State guy who got spun like a top out of bounds.
Yeah.
What's the Instagram guy? What's the Instagram coach? He's very funny.
Yeah. I sent him a message saying, please do one on this. And he didn't answer me, but he did do it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, he did a Milton Wright one?
No, I'm sorry. On the one
on the
2 weeks
David
ago,
Bell.
3 weeks ago, Bell did,
put the David Bell.
Did you retweet that? Because I didn't even see it.
Oh, I'll find it and send it to you.
It's on IG, yeah, but I'm sure it's on Twitter. I'm sure it's made its way to Twitter.
He's probably on Twitter too. Yeah. I'll find it.
There's a good I don't know if you guys saw this down here. Autocorrect strikes, and somebody said chop chop mothers.
He said chop chop mothers, and funny thing is, I didn't do anything in my head. I think we just kind of you just correct it yourself,
right? Exactly.
That's the way life is right now.
So what was your favorite thing about the weekend? So you've got Milton Wright's big performance. You've got, of course, the comeback in what, a 3-minute span. Really, they flipped the game as Villanova just succumbed to being exhausted, and North Carolina, the beating back of North Carolina continually trying to come back and not being able to do it. What's your favorite thing? Is it an individual performance? Is it an overarching theme? What really sticks out to you? And you guys have different perspectives because you were on the scene. So
how much of Saturday do you remember, Aneesh? Is really the first question.
I mean, honestly, bits and pieces. It was great. It was awesome. The game was so great because every time I looked up, I looked up very infrequently, and every time I looked up, something interesting was happening, whether it was the kicker slipping when all of us weren't.
Oh my gosh.
That was, I looked down at my nachos or something, and I look up and I was like, and it was in the perfect time where I'm like, wow, what a call to go for the onside right there.
Exactly. And they had all that momentum.
And he's like, no, I think he slipped. And I was like, no, and kicked it right at someone, and then
bounced off his face. I always thought kickers should do that more often. They should just aim for someone,
kick somebody, blast it at them.
Just pull it. They're not going to catch it. It's coming at you at high speed.
No,
you don't expect it.
The thing from this weekend, other than the copious amounts of fried food and alcohol that was consumed by yours truly, just so much fried food, just an unbelievable, ungodly amount of fried food is what I have to emphasize here. It was the consistency. There was no letdown. The fact, honestly, this weekend was if you actually just kind of go by the numbers, Purdue held form, right? There were no surprises.
Exactly what they're supposed to do.
They did what they were supposed to do. They were favored.
Well, they beat a higher ranked basketball team, but sure,
by the humans, but by Ken Pom, I think he had Purdue as a slight favorite in that game. So. And Purdue comfortably beat UNC. Purdue did not have a letdown game in a weird venue against Northwestern, on the march for 8 wins. There was no it was just holding serve. But what feels so different is that there was no letdown. There wasn't really even a threat of a letdown, I think.
No.
It was just Purdue handled business, and it was either in a marquee venue that everybody was, because it was kind of a weird, place to play, or it was a marquee event where there could legitimately be, by the end of the season, 3 potential Final Four teams. I don't know how good, North Carolina is going to end up being, but I think they'll be a Sweet 16 team. I think they'll round it. They'll round.
They've got athletes.
They're talented.
That's the thing.
And
they got
Nova,
guys.
and what I think. Was masked there is Nova is a Final Four team. That Nova team is so well coached, and they are just a machine under Jay.
They aren't deep enough. They only played 7 guys.
They only have 7.
But I don't think his great teams were all that deep. I think there were 8.
They weren't.
Right, so he could bring one more guy up, and that's if you read there's a great thing on Golden Black or on Knucklehead. It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen on Knucklehead. There's a guy that goes and it gives you synopsis of the opposing team's message board.
The guy I was at the game with just told me this at the game. He said there's a guy who mines the best bitching from other message boards and puts it on KC.
Totally. It had me. I went and I read his old stuff just because he'd started it was relatively recently, I believe. But it was very funny because one thing he talked about over and over is how Matt Painter outcoached him, because Matt Painter had a true freshman on the court in crunch time, and Jay Wright had kind of scrubbed the game clean of anybody without much experience, and because of that, they were all dead tired. And that was the difference maker, right?
I actually think Jay Wright has a normal team. A normal team runs about 7 or 8 deep, and is as good as Villanova was. I mean, they were hitting some impossible shots. And the difference was that they got tired like normal teams do, and usually both teams get tired, but usually one of the teams can't just do a line change, or one of the teams can't take out, the best center in college basketball and bring in the second best center in college basketball. You know what I mean? Like and Nova's not that big, right? Like they're
right. But did you hear Edie talk about the big, you have the clash of strength versus weakness versus strength, because you had Purdue's bigs, they didn't really have an answer for it, but they were bombing threes, and Edie's like, I don't know if they missed a three. He goes, I don't remember missing a three.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, that was a stretch that they were just hitting
both of those teams. Both those teams shot well against Purdue.
Yeah.
One of the things, if you talk about things that you like as takeaways, Purdue beat two teams. The first one, they never really they kept North Carolina at arm's length almost the whole game, except for like 1 30-second point where they were down a point. They beat two teams that shot really well, are really talented. Nova's case is really well coached. I don't know if you can say that about Hubert Davis yet, but that's a great takeaway too. They just beat either of those games. If you lost it, you'd be kind of annoyed, but it's not. It's almost like one of those. We said last week, Matt Painter wants to lose a game or two early. He doesn't want to go 14-0 to start the season. He wants.
And now that's the thing is like
now they should rip through the conference now.
This is nuts. And there's that strange Iowa game that's sprinkled in there early. Let me tell you my bar experience after the game. So it is actually it was perfectly planned, because the game was kind of in hand. We had a large group together. We actually had two kind of large groups that we each kind of broke off in our own directions after the game. One of the group, half of them went to find a place to go watch the Purdue game. You would think that, it was so funny in Wrigley Field. It was about 50-50, like Northwestern and Purdue fans, but the Northwestern fans didn't make a single peep. Even when Northwestern did something good, it was dead silent. Nothing was there. And you could see a ton of Northwestern fans there. When an incompletion or a sack or something like that, nothing. It was like Ross-Ade. It was just silent. And then when Purdue,
Chicago's Big Ten team,
I know, is Purdue. When Purdue,
there's no doubt.
Into four.
The Alumni Association in Chicago has got to be quintuple the size of Northwestern. Probably Illinois is second in Chicago, I would think.
And the other thing is how loud it got during the 4 straight sacks was awesome.
That was crazy.
That was incredible. 3 straight I've seen before. 4 straight, I don't know if I've seen that before. But so half of the people go to a bar after the game to try and find a large picnic table for all of us, basically a picnic table next to a TV. The bar that they go to, it used to be a sport. I think it's called Deuces. They used to be a sports bar in that they still have an infinite amount of TVs all around, but apparently they were trying to convert to becoming a Santa bar, which is a thing.
What? What's a Santa bar? What does that mean?
Christmas and Santa's as far as the eye can see.
Okay.
I know. And I was like, okay.
This is high concept stuff. My Indianapolis brain doesn't get it.
You can be the Santa bar.
It sounds like something to be in Southern Indiana.
There were hundreds of Purdue fans coming in, lining up and saying, hey, can we turn the Purdue game on? And it took the dozenth table before they started turning the TVs on, because they wanted everybody's focus to be on Santa Claus.
What in the what?
I know. I don't understand it. Is this a Chicago thing?
Is it just seasonal, or is it year-round Santas?
I don't know. It's not Thanksgiving yet. We're not in Santa season.
I'm not doing that stuff. Yeah.
What's the bar hop, the Santa hop, the bar crawl, the Santa crawl, whatever it's called?
SantaCon?
SantaCon.
New York.
It's but it's not Santa. I'm sure that
do people dress up as Santas and go from bar to bar? Is that what it is?
Yes. And
that'd be fun.
Belligerently drunk.
Yes,
it's fun in theory until you see the
two Santas
going.
fighting each other.
Yes, drunk, too vomiting.
Projectile.
Vomit in the beard.
It's very bad.
And so eventually go there, but it's this is immediately after a Purdue game, and there's another Purdue game. Everybody just wants to get to a TV and watch, and we will spend absurd amounts of money here.
Sir, take me to your finest Santa bar.
So to keep them happy, I just said, I can't pull up the menu. It was only digital and their signal was bad. So I was like, whatever, bring me the appetizer sampler. And the appetizer sampler was just fried food. Like it was fried green beans. I don't know. It was so many fried.
Underrated.
And we had like 14.
They get that orange, like half spicy sauce on there. Did you do that?
It was real good. We had the orange spicy sauce. So it was just fried food. And I've realized I am too old to just be putting fried food and alcohol into me all day to feel good the next morning. I know it's wild.
I'm surprised you felt good 2 days later. I mean, because that to me, the recovery of everything is slower. I don't drink like that. And like if I drink a little bit too much, I'm like, man, don't feel very good next day.
It's like you were stretching. It's like you stretching your stomach out. It's like you practicing with an extra pie this weekend. It's just I'm loading up for the weekend. I'm getting
You're ready to go.
So
that wasn't even the game. The Chicago retreat was the warm up for.
Was just
you got 2-3 days, don't you? It's a big party.
Yeah. So I've got 3 Thanksgivings to warm up to. This is very trying times for me.
That's right. Jay, what did you see? Tell me what you saw.
What did I see?
How was the Mohegan Sun?
Yeah.
How was the Mohegan? It's fine if you going to see a top 10 version of your favorite team win twice. It's enjoyable.
You think it's enjoyable when you see a potential top 5 NBA pick in your favorite team's jersey?
It's great. Yeah. It's great in that regard.
Okay. Good,
Getting there is not ideal. Spending any time at all on I-95. And by the way, you people who live in there's traffic here. Yeah, I live in LA. Oh, okay. Yeah, I-95 anywhere like in that Connecticut area is just always the absolute worst. Just awful.
I used to drive. I used to make that drive from New Jersey up to Boston and back down every month and a half. And the kind of hairpins through Connecticut, where it kind of jots through the water and comes back. Yeah. It's so bad. And if there's any rain, it's like you are absolutely crawling. There's no movement at all.
It's terrible. And everything at Mohegan Sun, it's like being in an airport as far as the pricing. You go to the sports bar.
So you get off and it's like $100 ring dings.
Right. Well, it's like, I'll just have I'll just have like a chicken sandwich in the bar here because I don't want to I'm just here to watch $17 for a sandwich. Oh, okay. So it's that whole kind of experience for the weekend where everything you do it's like they're charging you like you're in Las Vegas, but I can assure you you're not. The best part was when I checked in and she's like, I can offer you an upgrade to a suite that I'd have to pay for. That's not really offering me an upgrade. Right. And she said, you'd be on the end and you'd have 2 different views of what? Of the Connecticut countryside?
It's beautiful, man. As land as far as the eye can see.
Real quick, Aneesh.
Which one?
What's a good?
This
most
one?
recent. Yeah, that one. Vortex 4253 says, I'm surprised Jay didn't just helicopter in. He may have, and he just couldn't get to a helipad close enough. Is that true, Jay? Or
we all
I don't think they have a helipad on the Mohegan Sun.
The supply chain issues has got his copter in the shop for a while.
That's right. That's right.
Ship shortages, something supply.
I know. I just keep saying any delay. It's just like, supply chain. Ship shortages. Shipping containers.
Exactly. I just going to use buzzwords.
I know the words.
So I can do this. It was great to see. It's nice to go somewhere where you're staying in the same general structure. You're having your meals. You don't need a coat. You're never going outside, right? Mm-hmm. You can walk into the arena, see the game, walk right back out, and there's where you're going to dinner. It's pretty. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I like that.
A lot of good choices to eat in there.
Okay.
Are they all the same? Like, is it like just different signage, and they're using the same piece of beef? And the one place they're calling it a taco, and the other place they're calling it a burger.
We went to Michael Jordan Steakhouse, and I really wanted to be completely is Michael Jordan the chef? What's a Michael Jordan Steakhouse? Just like I have no idea.
Yank with the waiter.
Was he here? Did he set up the kitchen? Did he train you all?
Yeah.
Famous restaurateur. Is this what is this a I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Are there pictures red and black all over, or how do they do it? Is it
pretty much red and black decor and quotes on the walls?
They have a wax figure of him you can get your picture taken with?
No.
Maybe one in a Bulls uniform, one in a Wizards uniform, one in a suit, like the businessman version.
Except uniform. with the huge pants, with the MC Hammer pants.
Huge shoulders, huge pants, everything very blousy.
Very blousy.
Man, his shirts. If you look at
the clothes back then were
like
amazing.
the buttons, he all of his shirts. He was embarrassed by buttons. He wanted all buttons to be hidden.
Yes,
for some reason. I don't know
the
why.
plackets.
Yes.
Ultimate Boiler asks, is the Mohegan Sun just a casino that decided, you know what, we need a basketball arena in here, or does the team typically play there? That's a good question, because there are some places that I think build basketball arenas in the hopes of getting like tournaments, and they don't really have any reason. But no, Mohegan actually has the WNBA Connecticut Sun plays their home games there. It's a 9,200 seat arena. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's legit. Really, they panned out, and I was like, okay, there's legit. A second tier. Yeah,
it was like a nice tier. College. It was like
what I did not notice last time I was there 5-6 years ago, and what I did notice this time, and now I will be looking into the next time Purdue plays there. There are luxury boxes or suites. There's like 7. That's it. Like right at the top. Yeah. And they're the old school, like you've got the area in the back, and I can see there's big TVs in there, and then there's like you come out the front and there's a couple rows of seats.
You didn't notice them because you were laying down on the court last time. I can't see.
I was not on the court. I'll have you know.
I can't even see.
You can make these jokes there. I was on the court 6 years ago.
These lights are so bright, and the reflection off the shore.
I was literally on the court 6 years ago, and I was not this time. So.
Was it rough? Did you have to bring binoculars and stuff?
Yeah.
No.
They call them field goggles.
I saw Mike Babinski. I saw Jeff Goodman, who really fell in love with Purdue at the same time he fell in love with Rob Hummel.
Super strange.
It's super strange.
He's just a generally strange human. Babinski was there. He was in UConn.
He was at Connecticut.
Or I mean, I was at whatever Connecticut.
Mohegan. Yes, he was there. There were some very obvious John Purdue Club events that they might as well have had a sign that said "You are not welcome," because if you're, it's like John Purdue Club event, and then there's like 2 big like bouncer guys that are like, "No, you don't come in here."
This is not an open door event.
They do have concerts there. They do. They do pretty well.
I'm not trying to joke around. I thought you gave monies during the COVID turndown.
I have given money to John Purdue Club. One of the things you learn about the John Purdue Club is
you got to keep up your membership.
A lot of money, many monies to get any of those invites. You can give money and get almost nothing. So,
which I do, and I get nothing.
When we gave a lot of money as an organization,
satisfaction, personal satisfaction.
We gave it to the Tyler Trent Endowment, and I was proud of that, and that got us some recognition.
That was cool.
They appreciated that, and I think that's a much better place to put your money, quite honestly. Absolutely. As much as I love Purdue sports,
no, there's no doubt about that. Like that is not something that's debatable at all. There's money.
We're not paying Florida head coach's buyout or anything.
Someone asked earlier what Dan Mullen's buyout is, and I answered for us on the side there. It's 12.
Only 12.
Oh, yeah. What a bargain.
Yeah, but SEC jobs generally, I think you can do that sort of thing because they're desirable jobs. You don't have to lure the guy in with. I mean, he's another one.
What is Mel Tucker's buyout going to be? Because they better get used to figuring that out.
I'm pretty sure him, and I'm pretty sure that both him and Franklin both are represented by Jimmy Sexton, who is Jimbo's agent. So that could be just a mother.
It really is the same agent.
I think it is.
Oh my gosh.
He's the best agent in the world.
He's just got to be building a city someplace.
How have we not hired him as an agent? Boiled sports agent.
We're doing so well. That's probably why. Everything we're just counting our money already. So
exactly.
True. So wait, one thing we haven't, since we were said we would start with football, and we kind of and sort of have. Let's also talk. There is another game this weekend. We haven't spent any time because it's hard to hate. It's hard to hate a completely falling apart program. But
man,
the Bucket this weekend.
They were 17th when the season started.
They were 17th. They were 7th at the end of last year. Did you know that? They were number 7. Yeah. Now I know it was weird 2020.
COVID weird, yeah.
I know it was weird.
But
when you look at their record, they beat Michigan, they beat Michigan State. They beat Penn State last year. They had a really good year. They lost by a touchdown to Ohio State. They had a legitimately good year. Got to number 7. Came into this year thinking that, like, hey, we're legit now. And boy, if there's ever been a case of a team believing something that they hadn't quite earned yet, man, was that it.
Like, I don't. You guys know this. I don't. It's not like IU basketball. I don't like when I kind of feel bad. I feel nothing. Kind of feel bad.
I honestly feel nothing for Purdue for IU football until the bucket game, and then I want the bucket.
You kind of hate them,
right? Yeah, sure.
But you sure as hell don't want to lose to them.
Yeah, I want the bucket.
Absolutely
but it's not. But I feel a constant seething hatred for Ohio State and Notre Dame all year.
Yeah.
And it's not like that for IU. Now it's just like, oh, I feel sorry. I feel sorry for Zach Osterman, who has to cover this poor team.
Yeah, it's rough. I went and did a little statistical dive to see where IU's strengths are. There's not a statistical strength.
Well, their defense, I thought we still thought was decent.
No, it's falling apart. They are towards the bottom of most categories. Like they don't sack people, they don't intercept people, they don't stop anybody from scoring, and it's been worse the last few weeks. Like they're really, really not good, and their quarterback situation is bad. They can't move the ball. A friend of mine who's an IU fan said, "Well, they scored a touchdown this week," and I was like, well, "Really? That's seriously that's a thing you put you hang your hat on at this point of the season?" It's rough. They can't really run the ball that effectively. This is a game that Purdue should go in extremely humbly because there's a lot on the line in that
8 wins.
This I want to say this, and we all know this. We've talked about this. We talked about it a bit on Twitter, and I'm going to reiterate for people who missed the tweets on this. But this is if Purdue can beat IU, this will be the 7th time Purdue football has won 8 games since 1966. Don't discount this. This is not a bullcrap.
55 years. That is
55 years. And they've hardly ever won 8 games, right? And so this is a big deal to get the win, get the bucket, bring it back to where it should belong. Don't let it go back, right? But keep the bucket. But the big thing is, this wasn't like the Curtis Painter 8-win team where you played a bunch of bad teams. Oh, this is a lot of good wins. Season, a lot of good wins, no bad losses. If you can complete the job. Right. And this is another thing. When we talked about the beginning of the season, I was making a checklist of things Jeff Brom need to do to get over the hump. One of them, right? Don't lose to a bad team. Well, this is your final hurdle. You do this. He has taken massive leaps. They played with inclement weather. They beat a ranked team on the road. They beat the teams they're supposed to, game in, game out. Right. I would love for them to get out of the blocks a little sooner, but they won their first game. They won the opener, which Jeff Brom hadn't done as good. All these things matter.
A Power 5 team they beat Oregon State.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if it's just decent. Pac-12. Yeah, I don't know if it's
they're 7-4
is bad, but
that's a solid bowl team. That's a good win, and it's looked better as that season has gone on. They have Oregon State has an identity. They got a strong offense. That Coletto guy is really good, and a lot of teams. He hasn't been stopped all year. The only team that stopped him twice was Purdue. Incredible.
It's a family history of excellent football.
It's just consistency.
The name Coletto, you think of smash mouth, outstanding football. You know what? You talk about teams, beating the teams you're supposed to. Even the teams they beat, like Illinois, felt like, man, they're going to be so bad. If they beat Northwestern this weekend, which they probably
they're going to go to bowl, right? They're 6.
No, they'll be 5 and.
No, they have 5.
I think this will be 6.
I think
they have 5.
I think so. We can quickly check on this.
I thought they had 4. But my point is, they're going to finish. Even if they finish with 5, that's still better than I thought they were going to be.
Absolutely,
like 4 Big Ten wins.
Their defense is really damn good. Like they're good. They've held teams down. They've held good teams down. So it's that.
And Nebraska.
It was a lousy time. It was obviously the lowest time of the season. But what did you say? I missed that.
You said they've held good teams down, and I said, and Nebraska.
I'm just teeing them up.
Just let's go. Any shot you can get in on the Cornhuskers.
Well, I mean, because Nebraska, they lost again, and they're going to go 3-9 in Scott Frost's 4th year.
It's funny. It's so funny that they have outscored all of their opponents. Like, they have a positive point differential in the season, and they have like 1 win or whatever.
They have a positive point? No.
They have outscored. I'm pretty sure they have outscored, or like, yeah.
You know why? Let me read to you their 3 wins. Fordham 52-7, Buffalo 28-3, and Northwestern 56-7. That is why they have outs, because they've lost every other game fairly close.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't care. Losing games close. Who gives a? Who cares? Who cares? You know who you don't feel bad for, Aneesh? You know you guys both said, kind of feel bad for Indiana. I don't hate them so much as I feel bad for. You know who you don't feel bad for?
Scott Frost at all. No, you're right.
No,
you're right.
no.
I was trying to do it, but I didn't feel bad for him.
By the way, there are huge rumors coming out, and it looks like there's already been one guy at IU that is transferred. But supposedly the transfer portal is going to be flooded by IU players. And they've had these 2 great recruiting classes in a row. They're supposed to have another one coming in. And if all that's for naught, if they lose 10 guys, 10 skilled guys to the transfer portal,
an 0-9 Big Ten season can do that.
It'll do that.
I mean, so this is the danger. This is why, like in a vacuum, maybe IU, like, decent job, good, good facilities, good amount of money, but they are in the wrong division. And it's just like IU and Rutgers are so inherently bad because they just have to constantly play that gauntlet. And that's also why we were kind of arguing that Purdue is a low-key great job.
Yeah.
Because you can get paid. There aren't that many expectations. And, the West is, like, relatively playable.
But to do what? To win the division? Because I would argue you can still. So in the East, I'm looking right now. Maryland and Rutgers are both 5-6.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you have a slightly better year. They're both 2-6 in conference. We both know they could have been a lot better than that. They could have had a couple more wins. Suddenly, it's not so. They're got 5 wins. They might have 6. Either one of them, right? If they win this weekend.
Yeah.
So one more, and you're a 7-5 team. All I'm saying is Indiana. Yes, you're in the wrong division if you ever want to play for the Big Ten title.
But even to establish that consistent
could get a couple guaranteed losses in there.
No, but just a consistent level, like what we're looking for, which is like the new floor again, is 6 wins. Yeah. Like, to establish that consistently in the East is so hard, man. Like, especially for a team like Purdue, it would be like really bad. But in the
Purdue
West,
would beat Ohio State every other year because it's
every other year.
Yeah, that'd be no problem.
Yep, in Ross-Ade, nobody comes in.
Exactly. No, it's tough. The problem that I have with that thought process is, like, you almost make it sound like, because I think you, Aneesh, elevate the East and you disparage the West a little too much. Like,
it's not disparaging. It's just like there's no Ohio State. There's no Penn State.
There's only one.
Oh, there's only one.
There's
Ohio
no
State.
Michigan.
Penn State's 4-4.
No. Let's not.
But I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about
I'll do this. I'll do this, and let's look. I guarantee you, we could dive in the last decade. It's Ohio State. That's it. Yeah. Because really, if you go the next step, it's probably Wisconsin, right? I mean,
over the last 10 or 15 years.
Yes, they've been damn strong. That program has been very good, and Iowa's been solid. Like, there are roadblocks in the way.
But more beatable roadblocks is what I'm saying. Right?
I don't think so. I think Ohio State is the roadblock. That's what I'm saying.
No, yeah, but like, I don't know. It's like the
Michigan,
middle of
Penn
it.
State.
Yeah, I'm good. I would rather play Nebraska and Iowa instead of Michigan and Penn State every year. Like, that's all I'm saying. And actually, I am
from
saying,
the perspective of Purdue fans, Purdue doesn't beat Michigan.
I don't.
Right?
Other
teams do.
I don't care about disparaging the West. I have no loyalty to the Big Ten West. But what I'm saying is that
I don't have any loyalty to the damn conference.
Our Purdue's placement in the West is an advantage for the job of Purdue.
Sure.
And that makes it like an attractive place to be. That is why Brom, has stayed here longer than he stayed at any other coaching stop so far. Right? It's
still young.
And there is a way that you can stay here, build something, build a foundation. I mean, he literally built this from, I think, like, we were talking about Purdue history since the 60s, from Purdue's low since the 60s.
Yeah.
That's what he inherited.
Yeah.
And so now to put up one of those, how many did you say 8-win, like potentially 8-win season? How is that possible? How? That's even more stunning than Purdue has only won one 10-game season.
From the ashes of Hazel, from the ashes of a decimated program. This wasn't picking up from Danny Hope where there were some athletes on the roster.
The guys at Golden Black have picked up on this idea, something that's very interesting, that a lot of Purdue fans, the three of us I think would be included in this group, said by year 5 or 6, we should start seeing Jeff Brom winning 8 or 9 games. Well, look where we are.
Here we are.
Look where we are. And so that's the thing. If this is going to be an incredible carousel year. I feel like this is a nice test. I'm not nervous going out of this because I'm happy about the season. And it's kind of like found money to me because I thought this was not going to be this type of season. But I think it's a good test of, it seems to me that Brom and Babinski have this nice loyalty and work well together. This is a good test of this. I hope Purdue doesn't do what Michigan State and Penn State just did, where they say, okay, we're going to get our $100 million bag of money out. Don't do that shit, right? Don't do it. That is not smart. It's not smart from any standpoint. And there are other coaches out there. There just are. I don't care. That is puts you in such a bad position as a program. I know it's imaginary money on but it's
imaginary and it's not mine, so I don't.
Let's also talk about the difference.
But it is your school, and if they put a big hunk of cash where it's so prohibitive that you can't fire a guy for 2 years, let's say, right? Not just one, but you're in this purgatory for 2 years where the team is not good and you just can't afford to get out of it. That's a problem.
If it's that,
I don't even want that thinking at Purdue.
Sure.
I don't want that.
But let me just point out what would be different right now. I don't think any of us think that Jeff Brom has inarguably peaked. I don't think we think he has peaked. I think Franklin probably has taken Penn State as high as they're ever going to go under James Franklin. Sure. Could something, I mean, it could, breaks here and there, tough division, right? Like, I think he's gotten them, because he's gotten them up to what? Weren't they in the 4 or 5? They were in the playoff discussion in the last couple of years.
Have they been in the playoffs
during the season?
But they were just.
But either way, there is
in the discussion.
No, you're right. There is.
He's like, I think we should be considered, right? Like,
there is a difference between even getting to the playoff and like Georgia or like Bama this year, or like what Clemson was last year. Like, that's really tough to break through, and I don't think that Franklin.
I don't think you should expect that. Nobody should expect that.
But again,
has he taken them pretty much as far? Is he going to take them to the playoff? I kind of doubt it, right? So he's had them as a single-digit ranked team repeatedly, and they've lost practically every big top 10 matchup they've had, even ones at home. Okay, so maybe you could. So I heard from someone who's a Penn State fan who said half the fan base is happy they did this extension, and half is not happy at all, because that you're tying yourself to a guy that maybe isn't going to make you any better than you've been. My point being, he and Mel Tucker, it's way too early, right? But is it feasible? Is it believable that he'll never have this hot of a start again? That's very possible at Michigan.
I think it is. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's feasible that he peaked at his best start already.
He peaked already, right?
Yeah.
How much better can it be? How much better could it be? They were up to what, 3rd? Like in the playoff?
And they put him, the difference between Tucker and Franklin's salary is it's $20 million difference. So Tucker's looks like, okay, you're putting yourself in a truly elite group where elite expectations come with that. The fan base will say, like they have, with Jeff Brom, well, you're paying that much, so right. With Franklin, he kind of said, okay, I believe I'm in an elite class, but I'm not in the top 5. I'm not in the top 6, right? I think there's a big difference in that. I think that was kind of a smart move.
You know how you've said, I believe you said, you think. I think you said you never think Purdue's going to win a Big Ten title ever again in football, or it's going to be very difficult to.
Very difficult.
But why can't, let's say Jeff Brom is at Purdue another 5 years. Why can't Jeff Brom have a run like Mel Tucker had? Why is Purdue any different from Michigan State at this point? Why couldn't Purdue have a run, a start to a season that gets them at the first college football playoff ranking at 4 or 5?
Absolutely feasible.
We were talking.
Absolutely feasible.
We were talking about this last year, right? Which is, it's not Michigan State this year, because I actually think that's kind of a, I don't know, that was weird, but it's what Pat Fitzgerald did. If Pat Fitzgerald can get Northwestern as a top 10 team, like every 3 years, like that. See, that's what I'm talking about, where that is a lower lift in the West, and it makes it possible, and it makes these jobs, I think, more attractive than the mid-tier and lower tier jobs in the other division. That's why it's possible. That's why Brom can do this at Purdue, because like we can kind of stumble through and have a good couple, like standout performances and a good, like just a base of performances. But frankly, like have 4 or 5 games where Purdue really stumbled through and still have one of 7, 8-win seasons, right? Again, and that makes me thrilled because when I see Mel Tucker, I don't care about the salary. I would like to make myself clear. It does not matter. It's not my money unless you're going to say, "Hey, Aneesh, we were going to give you the money, but now we're giving it to Jeff Brom." I don't care about that. I think Jeff Brom is great at Purdue, and
I don't want them to cripple the athletic department. That is my biggest fear.
But we're
if
not
you put so much money in one coach's basket, and that basket doesn't produce. So if you put it in football and season tickets go through the floor, and then it hurts you with the other coaches. It hurts you with Painter. It hurts you with facilities.
That is an if, and what happens on the way there. And again, if what happens on the way there is a couple shots at the Big Ten West, then it was worth it, right? And, look at Ross-Ade this year. Ross-Ade this year, during a year when,
and we're not even there yet. Yep.
Until now, it wasn't kind of consistently great. Ross-Ade this year was constantly sold out or constantly raucous, right? After 4 years of just entire apathy, right? And so, yes, it is worth it. So I don't care about that. What I do care about is that similar to the Franklin thing, what Mel Tucker has done seems like, he could do it again, but this seems fluky. Like it seems kind of crazy
because the way it's built,
that he did this.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it may be to his skill, it may be much to his credit. He may have run, tight ship, whatever, but we don't know that yet. We haven't really seen much from him. We don't have kind of a signature style of his yet. It's only been 2 years, and this kind of seems like a confluence of events that have peaked into something like this, right? It seems by chance. This Purdue season does not seem by chance. It actually seems like, we left them, we could have upped the margin of victory in a couple of these games, and we could have had the Minnesota game. Notre Dame could have been a little more competitive. Could have been a couple more signature moments, right? But I actually think that makes me feel great because if this is the incidental season,
right.
What.
Well, so the real question is next year. Okay, so I think the offensive line will get better next year because
but you lose the 2 superstars that may have fueled you this far.
Absolutely. So you lose. Well, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Is O'Connell coming back? We really don't know that yet, right? And everybody asks that question.
You should,
huh?
That'd be awesome.
Should. What else is
It'd be great? It'd be great because you'd have a battle for. Well, you'd have Plummer, Alemo, and Allen.
Plummer's going to transfer. Yeah, I think it'd be crazy if Plummer doesn't transfer.
Yeah, or maybe he just doesn't want to play football anymore, a lot like Sindelar, because this is a really legit smart guy, too, that maybe just says, yeah, I'm ready to go live my life. I mean, that's the thing. You just don't know. That's the same with O'Connell. You got to ask the question with these smart guys, these guys that don't say, yeah, I've always aspired to be whatever, an NFL football player or, whatever, or play. And, maybe Plummer says, I'd like to play in the Pac-10. I don't know. You just don't know what the other factors are. But with O'Connell, I could see him saying, I don't want to play football anymore. Or, you know what? I do want to go try to play in the NFL. I could see anything, and it's all on the table. And I don't think anybody who tries to guess this stuff, it always annoys me on Twitter because everybody's throwing in, ideas. I think this is going to happen. Okay, good. I'm glad you think that. You don't know. You don't have anything. Unless you are best friends with him or his parents. Even then, you don't know. You don't know. We don't know.
The best part was when somebody asked Brom this, what the contribution of the senior class was, and he was like, honestly, with COVID, I have no idea who our seniors are. I'm not sure.
Right.
We have a lot of older good players, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
So if Brom isn't paying attention to it,
the free 2020 is so. Really,
it makes everything.
I mean, it's everything.
Let's go over into basketball for a second, okay? It makes basketball odd too because people ask the question, "Will Sash come back?" I'm like, sure. Why wouldn't he? Right? Hunter, sure. Why not? I don't know. Maybe both of them have said, "I can go play in Europe. Maybe I want to play in Europe. Maybe my girlfriend is going to be my wife and is ready to move off campus." That stuff like that, right? Where you're like, okay, I'm 23 years old or whatever, right? So those guys are getting older. Maybe they're just sick of being around college people. I can see that too. I mean, like all these things. Maybe Purdue, after they win their national title, they're like, yeah, I've accomplished enough.
we could demolish.
What?
If
What?
Purdue
What
wins the
just
national
happened?
title, we could demolish everything. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm great.
Guys, I have these weird thoughts.
They're so good.
They're so good.
They're so
I heard
good.
someone compare them to UNLV in 1990. And I was like, shut your damn mouth. You're too young. You don't know what you're talking about. Because UNLV was 5 deep that year. But those 5 were pros, right?
Yes.
I think they had one guy who was on the edge in the NBA. That's not what Purdue is. But these line change.
College game is very different now.
Very different.
For what it is now, they are like that. They are in the sense they're deeper. They're deeper than that.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah, they're much deeper than that. They're much deeper than that.
Who said
you got to think like I'm trying to think of a comparison. Maybe one of those Duke teams, but that really doesn't work because they're like 8 or 9 deep when they're good.
I've been,
and they have a bunch of guys that are underdeveloped. When they're getting in that 8 or 9, there's a guy that comes and just bombs and he goes back and sits back down because he can't do anything else. This is 9, 10 men that can play basketball, that can score the basketball. That if someone sags off you're going to be in trouble.
Purdue legitimately has 9 starters. You know how I know that? Because 4 of the people coming off the bench were starters for Purdue. And so it's yes, Purdue has 9 starters. 9, and Ethan Morton has really improved. So maybe Purdue has 10. I don't know. I've been trying to think of a comp and I can't. And a couple in terms of the team construction and just because it's so odd to have this much depth and this much bigs, depth of bigs. So we'll get to Caleb first and all of that.
So there's a comment over here. Hold on. This is an interesting one because I've heard this one too. And the fact that we're even having these conversations, it's not just us. It's people in the national media saying things like they're like that Kentucky team. Okay, that Kentucky team, I'll tell you why that comparison falls apart. They're not as deep. That Kentucky team was not as deep, but the top 5 or 6 were all lottery guys. I think they had 5 players picked in the top 12. That is really stupid, and that's a force of nature that you're not going to overcome from another. You can't match up with those guys.
To me, the best Kentucky team. It's not to me. This was the best Kentucky team. It was that 38-1, the Carl Anthony Towns team, the one that lost to Wisconsin. They should have gone undefeated. I was so mad when they didn't because they should. I
was happy. I was there.
Oh, I don't care. I don't want Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was fun. Those Kentucky fans, man, they were.
Yes. But that team,
great.
That team was so good.
Yeah, they were good.
So fun.
And it was a done deal. It was them I don't know which championship it would have been. There are people with blazers on with the amount of national championships on it, and they're like, making room for what? Literally, they're taunting about the next championship is this year. It's a month.
Well, you remember how good they were?
They were great.
If you were ever going to be cocky,
they were the best. They were the best college basketball team that I have seen. In terms of just
talent and
that right there,
and
that was Bo Ryan's crowning achievement. That whole team, right? Because that was a real legit team. It wasn't
Bo Ryan's still there then.
Yeah,
but that was because he went to 2 Final Fours and then he bounced halfway through the season or whatever. Had one down year and bounced 3 games into the season. That was Kaminsky and Decker. And so that was the first.
Decker, and who was
that
the
was
point
actually
guard? He was a little guy and he was awesome.
That was the first time that he actually had NBA talent, and all of a sudden, it vaulted them to. Turns out, if you have talented guys, maybe you ran your system with good talent. My thing is, a couple of years from now, we will remember this team regardless of what they do because they're going to be a special and fun team. Yeah. And the superstar is Ivy. Jaden Ivey might be a level of superstar that Purdue has not had at Purdue in basketball. Carson Edwards was kind of like this, but he didn't quite translate to the NBA because he's not big enough. Jaden Ivey is exactly, and the other thing is Caleb Swanigan. Caleb Swanigan is not what modern basketball was asking for, right? Jaden Ivey is exactly what every single team wants. Every team needs a Jaden Ivey, and if they don't, they already have one.
And they're talking about Edey, comparing him to 3 different centers in the league that are these. The reason these centers work is because they're so big, right? And they can still move their feet, right? So they can slide and swallow a guy up. Like I'm like, that's a big deal.
To
bring
me,
up Handel's comment real quick. That's a great
this one.
I forgot about that.
Devin Booker was awesome. He was the sixth man.
Booker was the sixth man on that Kentucky team.
That's one of the things I remember, because Cat and Booker, like Booker was until recently was trying to get Cat to come to Phoenix or the other way around. And yeah, they are really good friends. It was awesome. That was such an awesome team.
That was. I mean, that team. That's what Cal wants, right? He wants to get everybody there and say, "I'm going to send you to the league. I'm going to get you're going to be in a fancy suit. You're going to be drafted. You're going to be,
That's a good
first hour. You're
in,
going to have
in the last 15 years of the college basketball. That was a great strategy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But
because
Kentucky fans, the ones that I know, they're kind of fed up. They're like, this isn't fun anymore. We don't win championships.
That's why it's fun being Purdue, man. That's why it's fun being Purdue. That's what I'm saying.
Be Purdue.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, this should be the Jaden Ivey year that we remember. Honestly, I can project this. I will remember this as the Trevion Williams year. Trevion is the face of this team. Trevion is the reason why this team works. You know why? Because the last few years,
he's humble.
The last few years, the team has kind of missed a leader. And in 2019, Purdue, since basically the super seniors all graduated, in 2019, Purdue got over that because Carson Edwards was just the best guard, the best non-Ja Morant guard in the country.
Yeah.
But Carson wasn't, that locker room guy. He was quiet. He did his work. He worked harder than anybody else in the locker room. He, caught fire, and that was it. That took the team, to the Elite Eight. Trevion Williams is that leader that Purdue has been missing. He is that senior kind of person that everybody looks to, and he is perfectly fine coming off the bench.
Yes.
And you know why? Because when he comes off the bench, he is the best big man in the country.
Yep.
I mean, because the other big man that he's competing with is on the bench.
Yeah.
So when
he's so smooth, man. He's not like watching him in person. You know how we've talked about this. When you watch a game in Trevion, well, all of them. But when you watch a game, you just notice different things, obviously, than when you're watching on TV. And Trevion he's got a little. I refer to it as a dream shake. He's got this little up and under dream. He's got multiple moves and
he's always looking for that
problem.
Cross.
Those guys,
all the way,
the North Carolina game. He got that Garcia so bad to believe the left move was coming.
Yes.
He was way out there, and he was wide open. This is easy, right? He believed that shake to the left, and then he dropped into the right. That was an awesome play. Awesome play.
There's nothing – what's the word, right? When he was a freshman or something, it wouldn't have been as smoothly done. It would have been a little more clumsy. It would have been now it's just so graceful.
Fluid.
His signature move that I will remember from him is posting up on the left block and throwing a pass over his shoulder to a wide open 3-point shooter in the right corner. Yeah. I mean, to me, that was something that I didn't even know that he had as a freshman. And he has constantly developed that into where it is such a go-to weapon now. Purdue surrounded him with shooters or slashers. So basically you always at all times, Purdue has the best center in the country on the floor. In crunch time, Purdue has another player that puts pressure on the rim in Jaden Ivey, who is looking to dunk everything. And then you surround him by
push
shooters.
The ball so deep into the defense. It's this is going to be tough. Unless you do what Villanova did, where you're okay, we're going to throw a blanket on this thing as long as we can, but it's going to break eventually, right? Can't we last when it breaks, right? Let me ask you guys both a question. So Trey does this thing right now when he's on the bench. He was cheering on Edey towards the end of the game, and he does this deep waist bend, and he's super hard clapping, he's locked in. Where is he at that point? Is he on the end of the bench? Because he's in front of Painter? I really don't know because they keep focusing. I'm this is becoming iconic. He does it all the time now.
I love it. I love him celebrating.
I think he's middle of the bench when he does that. I think
he's. You know what's awesome is that Edey can't complain about coming onto the bench, late in the game.
Replaced. Yeah.
Because he's being replaced by Trevion Williams, who is just as good as him and isn't starting. If Brandon Newman has it going, Sasha's on the bench, but Sasha can't complain because he looks over and potentially the best center in the country is sitting
right. But these guys are not that type, right? They're not complaining.
No, they're
not. They truly support each other.
I think they could be, but the Trevion is the guy that makes that go. Is the guy that makes that entire unselfish thing go like that.
He's
it's so. Precedent. I mean, like, there is no player coming off the bench or giving up playing time better than Trevion Williams in the country.
Let's think about something real quickly. This is a nice point, Aneesh. So the first game of the year, the first real game of the year, Trevion, that was the one he picked the theme, I'm not going to shoot today. Was that like some sort of thing saying, okay, starting right now, I'm going to do what's best for the team. Everyone's going to follow. This is the way it's going to be. Today, I'm not shooting. I'm going to get young guys involved. I'm going to facilitate the hell out of this block.
Speaking of, Trey Kaufman is a 4-star top 75 player, freshman.
Yeah.
The player that he's coming in with in his class is Caleb First, who is incredible. Right. He's not going to the bench. Right. Mason, but again, Mason Gillis can't be too mad coming off the bench because he sees Trevion Williams right there.
Nope.
Trey Kaufman sees Caleb First, knows that he's beaten him out for that position, sees Trevion Williams coming off the bench, and says, fine, I'll be a part of it. I'll push you guys in practice, and we'll go win a national championship, and then I'll come next year. I'll be the best addition to the team next year. Again, the reason that this team functions as well as it does with this many players. Painter has always seemed worried about this roster because of how deep it is, because you have to find playing time for everybody to keep everybody happy. But if Trey is happy coming off the bench, everybody else is, because he's the guy, he's the leader of the team, and there's nobody better in the country coming off the bench than him. So how can anybody else complain? That's why everything works. It's so cool to see. That being said, Jaden Ivey is everything I've ever wanted.
Well, let me ask you. He is exactly, and we Michael, we haven't heard from him at all really about what Jaden's done this season. I hope he has a basketball beat coming up soon. Yeah, because he always talks about guys with the NBA body, the long guy who's really really skilled. Because Basil
Smotherman, baby,
Smotherman, exactly. Yeah, so this is like the best possible version of that. So let me ask you a question, Aneesh. Since you're the guy who really, I don't give a damn about the NBA. I just want these guys to do well in college. That's just because I'm I don't like the NBA game. But do you see Trey as an NBA player right now?
No, I don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it could, but very similar faults that Swanigan had. But Swanigan had certain NBA, translatable skills, and I don't know. I don't think so. I see him as a great college player and a player that would have been awesome 15, 20 years ago.
Well, it's Trey's path to NBA success is a lot like Carson Edwards, right? Because he's a tweener. He's not the right build for the league, that sort of thing. He's got to find the right system. He's got to find the right,
But even then, Carson's marquee skill is sharpshooting or catching fire from outside, being kind of a microwave scorer. That is translatable. I don't Trevion's, there are tons of passing big, really good passing big men. 6'10" is no longer you are getting to the point where these centers are off the charts and can ball handle. I don't know. I would love to be proven wrong.
I just don't know. I gotta plead ignorance here, but I can think of guys that in my uneducated, somewhat NBA paying attention brain, and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of like him or whatever, but I just can't. To me, it seems like it's gonna take him getting the right situation, which I think could happen, because this attitude, and I guarantee Paint's gonna talk this up, right? Maybe there's a coach I want that guy on my roster because he's going to be awesome off the bench.
He will be making plenty of money playing basketball.
Yeah,
he'll be making a good living playing basketball, and whether that's in the NBA or whether that's elsewhere, that's kind of beside the point. Yeah. Ivy is an NBA player. Edey is an NBA player. Because of his size and his agility, Edey is an NBA player. I don't know about this year if he goes or next year, but we'll see.
John Younger talks about Noah Vonleh, but I think Vonleh is 2-3 inches taller, isn't he?
Yeah,
Trey
Vonleh's
is
an
6'8", 6'9", right? So And Vonleh's long and thin, and I think he's close to 7 feet tall. So
exactly. I mean, like, you're not throwing it down to the post, in the NBA. It's screening, it's setting up players, it's driving and kicking, it's being able to ball handle, or being able to lock down, wing players, like switching onto wings and locking them down. That being said, like, he's an awesome college player, and that's fun, and he'll be making money playing basketball, and that's awesome. Yeah. So like what else, what else matters? Caleb First, like, when he hit that corner three, or wing three, I was like, no, it was a corner three. I think it was from Williams. I didn't know he had that. Or maybe it was one of the ones where Ivy decided he was going to take over the game and, kick it out to him. I mean, when Ivy decides, by the way, it's so the game is his. Oh my gosh.
And he only has to do it for like 3 minutes. You notice that? Every time he does it, it's just this burst, and then everybody's like, okay, we're all coming with him. And that's that idea. That's that idea in the NCAA tournament where you're like, okay, throw everybody on your back. You've got a superstar, and he's just going to take you over the hump every single time things get difficult, right? Man, he's dynamic. That's the thing I just keep coming back to is his amount of things he can do. The fact that he's looking to pass so much, to me, that's the big difference maker, right? Special. His ability to finish at the rim, that is very special for him. He's making everybody better. That's it, right? It's one thing to have a guy that's like a really good scorer. Somebody mentioned Glenn Robinson over here. They said, is he the next Glenn Robinson? I think Seago said this. No, he's not, because Glenn Robinson really didn't make everybody better. He was just like, he was a bright white sun. He was so good and so much better.
The next Glenn Robinson, we've had two of them, which not really, but like we have in college basketball, and it was Biggie and it was Carson, right? Those kind of supernovas that
but can tell just you, when watching Glenn Robinson, because I was in college watching him.
Big Dog is different.
Yeah, that's a different dude. I mean, like, he could do anything. He was so big and strong. He was just so much better than everybody else. Like, he just was. It was 9 out of 10 games. Nobody could guard him any place, any position on the court. Wherever he wanted to kill you, he would. He could go into the lane. He could post you up. He could hit shots. He could drive. He would kill you on the glass when he felt like trying. Dunk over you. I mean, name it, pick your poison. He's that type of guy. And
that's just like Carson. But again, like what you're saying is like Carson and Big Dog, like, one game took over games, but it's not like they set up the rest of the team. It's not like they made the rest of the team better. And that's not a knock on them. That just wasn't their game. Like, Ivy is first of all, like, a willing passer, even when he's in takeover mode, and he's surrounded by a level of talent that I don't think any superstar is surrounded by in the country right now, at least. Right. And so it's a perfect match. I mean, Newman and Sasha, sharpshooters. Thompson is shooting well. Ethan
Thompson, no, let's not undercut Thompson, because here's the thing. I've kind of discounted him. He's PJ's brother. Like, that's all I've thought about him. Like, now he's starting to get his own identity. His identity is that he makes big shots. He makes big plays. He's rock solid. He quietly just hums along. Sunday. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's solid. Like, I mean,
that part is PJ. That's the Thompson part of it. They don't turn the ball over, man. Nope, they're smart. Nope. They don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
did you guys hear that the bucket is officially a sellout? Did you hear that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of sellouts. That's a lot of football sellouts. And I love it, because it's we've talked about this before. All Purdue football fans need is a reason. Just a little bit of hope. Just have a glimmer, and they will come out and support you so well. They wanted to a couple of years ago. That last time that triple overtime loss against Wisconsin, they were there. They wanted it so badly. They showed up this year for Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I by the way, there's a quick aside. Somebody in the margins asked about next year's schedule. And I find there's another, how there's weird anomalies with Big Ten schedules. So Purdue has Wisconsin at home again next year.
Oh my gosh. Really?
And is at Nebraska again next year.
So next year is the year that we thought they're going to get over the hump finally. They're going to win.
There's your 10 wins.
Games,
There's your 10 wins, Jay.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Many people are saying, especially
many are saying.
Quarterbacks come.
You want to hear it real quick? This is fun. All right.
Let's do it.
Labor Day weekend, open at home against Penn State. What? Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Penn State at home. But I'm fine.
That's okay.
I'm fine with that.
Shoot,
next
I'm
week,
probably going to end up driving back for that, aren't I?
Home against Indiana State. September 17th at Syracuse.
2-1.
Home against Florida Atlantic. Kind of like the start.
Oh, yeah.
October 1st at Maryland. October 8th, home against Iowa. October 15th at Minnesota. October 22nd, home against Wisconsin. November 5th at Illinois. November 12th at Nebraska. November 19th, home Northwestern. November 26th at Indiana.
So I see
12.
What's feasible?
12.
I see 2 losses there.
12.
12 and 0.
I see 10-2.
You know what? I will sacrifice the Wisconsin game right now for a 10-win season. I will lose to Penn
I
State
think the Wisconsin is the thing that's like that's the one that like makes you feel like that's the one that national media finally notices and everybody's on the train, Jay. Oh yeah, here we go. And Jay starts feeling it. We're gonna get it. That's it.
It'll be in the glow. It'll be in the glow of Purdue winning a national, hanging a banner. So that'll be fine.
Oh my!
Oh man, what are you doing to me? That is a kind of a
the basketball team. Sure.
I mean, I'm joking about it, but in my heart, it's like, oh my god. Like I legitimately didn't believe it in the preseason. I was like, Purdue's going to be fun, but like UCLA and Gonzaga are like so good. Like
here's the thing, Aneesh, you're not going to need to deal with either of them till very late.
And they'll knock each other out, and they'll be upsetting each other. It'll be fun.
Ryan's dream scenario for Purdue title is beating Gonzaga in the Final Four.
Beating Michigan State somewhere along the way.
Let's
beating
go through Duke and Gonzaga just for good measure.
Yeah, there you go.
Knocking K out of his last tournament.
That's what I said. I said this to my son. Nice. I said, that's all I wish for is Coach Krzyzewski's last game is at the cold, mean, strong hand of Matthew
Meaty
Matt Painter. Oh, that'd be great.
At the barbecue soaked hand of
as black
gumbo
shoe polish
dripping.
drips off of Coach K's
naturally
head all over Painter's barbecue hand. Oh,
barbecue.
So sad.
Edward barbecue hands.
That's the scenario. Beat Duke. Beat Gonzaga. Oh my gosh.
Do we have anything on Twitter to
we
address?
Do. We're over an hour, but Handle Jones, first off, I asked people about anything they're thankful for, and he said thankful for Dowd, Aneesh, and JL. You guys are a source of laughter and snark that I've come to rely on weekly during the long, gray, depressing winter months. That's very nice.
Weekly, like we are that regular.
Well, maybe he listens to it weekly.
Yeah.
He asks.
Hold on, let me interrupt. You got to see that comment that the Ultimate Boiler just put up makes me laugh.
I can't see it.
Top one. Painter has a mouth full of smoked brisket, spitting out a good game.
I just see barbecue imagery is getting me right now. So
by the way, Kyle Seago says a few comments down, going back to beating Wisconsin for a 10-win season. He says the road to the ship. Wait, it went away. Hold on. The road to the
ship goes through Paul Chris blank face. Very good. Very good.
My goodness. Meaty Matthew Cutlet Curtis Painter, Handle Jones says. Oh gosh. All right. I gotta stop reading this.
Okay.
Let's see here. What did he ask here? He asked a very pertinent question, actually. Handle Jones says, do you think Edie and Trey will be able to successfully will be able to be successful on perimeter pick and roll defense? Nova exploited that to death, which led to multiple corner threes. Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Nova had so many open looks in the corner.
I mean, do not underestimate how good Villanova is.
How well coached they are. Yeah.
Maybe Gonzaga will be able to do that because they're well coached, they're old, they're disciplined, but there aren't many teams that are going to be able to attack Purdue as disciplined and as consistently as as Villanova did. Not to say they won't lose and all of this. I'm sure that in a team controlling the pace. I mean, Dowd was saying this during the game, like we were playing at Villanova's pace, like Purdue was playing at Villanova's pace. But like, you control the pace of the game. You have these sharpshooters that can, exploit. You have willing passers. You have players willing to, almost like an NBA style, like call for the screen, get the right matchup, and find the right passing lane, just over and over and over again. I don't think we're going to face anybody that is better than Villanova. So I don't think it gets worse than that.
Look around, it was a problem. Team better than them in the Big Ten. I mean,
but you know what was awesome? We saw what happens if that happens. What happens is you take both of those centers off, and all of a sudden Caleb First can hold his own for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Like just to stem the tide. We had maybe an extended, maybe to 6 minutes. There was Caleb First as the center in the lineup.
Yeah.
I think it was in the first half.
Ending the first
because
half.
of foul trouble. Yeah. And he was great.
He's fine. Yeah.
And
here's the funny thing about First right now. So I had an observation, Jay, maybe in person you saw this. So when I saw Trey dunk, okay, he's a rim shaker, right? When I see Edie dunk, it's like he's moving that thing, right?
Check.
And then so I think First is a pretty big, strong guy, and then he'd dunk and thing would go beep. It just wouldn't move at all. And I'm like,
they're
he's not
so
that heavy
big
yet.
They are so like Zach
Edey
to
describe.
Makes Trevion look normal.
Yes,
and like I was trying to explain to people who don't watch Purdue regularly that Trevion Williams is a large individual, is among the largest individuals you will ever see in your life. Yeah. And Zach Edey just makes him, just dwarfs him.
Yeah.
Edey's what, a sophomore?
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
No, but I'm saying, but I'm saying you're still growing as a young man when you're like 19. Like that's why he's clearly bigger than when he came to campus.
Oh, they said he grew like 3 or 4 inches last year.
He's like 7'4".
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
At one point in the summer, they were saying he's 7'6". And I don't know what happened to that because they said during the international play.
Yeah, nothing would surprise
me. Do they even make rulers that big? Who knows?
I don't know.
They're guessing. It's just
I can't see past that.
It's just I know. It's just like
over 7 feet.
Measuring.
Yeah. Okay, a couple other. Let's bang a few more out here. So this is a good one. Doc Wattis, one of our longtime
old pal
friend. He asked. I think it's a great question. He says, "What day will men's basketball suffer their first loss?" Good question. So I'm looking at the schedule. Want me to bang through them, unless you have them in front of you?
I've got a quick answer. Yeah.
I got one.
October 31st, 2022.
You jackass.
They're running through.
I'm going to say January 11th at Michigan. If they have now, I'm not saying they won't lose before then because they very well could. In fact, I think they probably will. It's hard to imagine them going 6 more weeks without losing.
If the Michigan game is the over/under, I think they come into the Michigan game with 1 loss.
Okay, I think so too. I mean, you look at the schedule. Let's just talk about their road games. Let's assume they'll win their home games, right?
Yeah.
At Rutgers, Rutgers okay, but they should win that. At Penn State,
they owe Rutgers some stuff too. By the way,
oh
man, I want all that.
So between now and that game, at Rutgers and at Penn State, that's it, my friends. That's the list. That's the road games. Now they got some neutral.
The sneaky one right now is Florida State to me.
Just because
they're long. They're always every year they have big guys. So
Butler at the Crossroads. I mean, like again, weird stuff. It's one of those things.
Not Butler. I don't know.
This Butler team isn't great, but it's just like an Iowa. Like but Iowa's at home. Like that's the thing. It's so hard.
Mackey is gonna be it's gonna be nuclear from here out.
There was I don't know why.
Pity those teams.
My YouTube recommendations it popped up like it was like a Purdue clip of Vern Lundquist. Just like it was like Vern Lundquist goes silent as the crowd roars, and I saw the Purdue logo, and I was like, well, I suppose I'm clicking this. I suppose the algorithm knows me, and it was the Etuan Moore game that I was.
Yes, I had the same thing pop on mine this week.
I think it's all Purdue fans are having this in their cycle, and it's just and I was there. When Mackey is loud, and Vern is like a good announcer that goes to all of these venues, and he even seemed like taken aback
Right.
by, and that was kind of one of the best, like, of the Baby Boilers era. Like that may have
It
been
was
the
that
loudest
you're talking
Mackey
about that
got.
clip where Moore is like quadruple plumping, right?
Yeah.
And that shot makes no sense. And
Like
I
that
watched
in-
that again. I'm like, it's in super low res,
Ah,
right? The same
Yeah,
file you
of
watch.
course. And it's the old Purdue logo. I love it. I love that old stupid Purdue logo. That
Right.
old, like, non-symmetrical, terrible Purdue logo. I
Yep.
love it so much.
Yep.
But
That Mackey was
when
crazy.
Mackey
that
gets
afternoon.
going, it's just incredible. I will probably end up coming back. The amount of money and time I will be spending this year going to Purdue games is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
I'm going to put something out there. Jay and I talked about this years ago. I'm going to bring it back, put it back on the table because Jay told me I'm glad I didn't make that deal years ago. Jay and I both have one tattoo. Aneesh, you have no ink.
I don't.
Okay, so
I will get if Purdue wins a national title, I'll get your faces tattooed on each of my chests.
Each of your chests. Wow.
And the
Both
bosoms. The
bosoms. You'll be in my bosoms forever.
You just threw down a woo.
This is recorded.
Yeah,
it is recorded. So I was going to say if Purdue gets the Final Four, I'll put that motion P with the year. That's going to be someplace on my body. You guys might have to find it.
Do we get
a tattoo?
to pick?
I'll get a tattoo. Sure. Yeah. Can I watch?
Oh well, I'm not going to let you guys pick and watch. That's the thing.
Come on!
Because you guys have just been waiting for that moment to see.
Come
parts
on,
of me.
just.
But I think we should. Let's think about these stakes. You put down something that's a pretty big gauntlet, and I understand why you put that gauntlet down there because you just think this is going to happen. But the Final Four thing, I think, is to me that's enough. I am 46 years old. I was 5 when Purdue went to the Final Four last time. Putting ink on me I have my family and my faith and my country in one tattoo, very small. It's on the inside of my arm, so you can't see it. But this one I might put on the outside of my shoulder. Might put it maybe something like that.
Look at that. Yeah, no, I am like, I'm kind of kidding because it's like, can Purdue I think like I'm fine with predicting Purdue like running the gauntlet again. I can't wait to just be stabbed in the side again. Just hurt. I can't wait to be hurt.
Ready to be hurt again.
I'm ready. Yeah. I'm absolutely
Jay,
ready.
are you ready to be hurt? That's a real question. Because this guy, Aneesh and I, we're in. It's clear. Are you guarded at all right now, Jay?
Oh, he's still guarded. He's still. It's like an adoption. It's like an adopted dog who's like comfortable in the house, but still is like flinches when you go to pet him.
Look, who's spending idiotic amounts of money to follow this basketball team around? Still,
money's no object for you.
The money tree takes care of those.
I wouldn't do it if I was completely broken. I've been broken a long time. I'd say it just took the legs out from under me that day. I don't know what the expression I should use is. It was just
knocked the
wind
wind
out of you. You were deflated.
I said that was it.
I'd say it was more than just getting the wind knocked out. That was kneecapped.
It's almost like the 2020 season. We're kind of glad it like just kind of went. It just like it was the palate cleanser. It was just like we're still hurting. It's still too much.
Yeah.
Right. So we lost the 20 tournament. Right. We lost the 20 tournament
19.
and then we got the 21 tournament, which was UCLA's weird ass out of nowhere. Mick Cronin is suddenly a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why can't Purdue have that?
Cats and dogs, man. Mick Cronin from Cincinnati.
Freaking Cronin, like their 5th choice for the job, too. Remember that? They ended up giving it to him because nobody else would take it.
Yeah. And all of a sudden he's good.
On the one hand, good for him. On the other hand, I thought he was kind of a jackass. So
yeah.
Not a big fan of Mick Cronin.
No, not really.
I always liked him because he was the balance to Xavier, and I hated Xavier. I just didn't like anything.
Since he's not likable either, man.
No, I didn't.
No, I know. But that one fight, remember the one fight, zip him up. That one, Cronin, I think, was on the sideline then.
Yeah,
that was enough. I'm like, I'm on his side. I'm with the short guy.
I'm with the short bald guy.
The short bald guy. I like the cut of his chin.
I feel a kinship with that guy. Talk about an upgrade. That dude went from living in Cincinnati, Ohio, to L.A.
to being the head coach of UCLA again.
And being,
I have an idiot cousin. I love him very much.
Everyone does.
This young child is looking at he lives in San Diego. If we're being honest, the perfect city. Like you're a child and money is no object to you, you don't have to pay bills. Your parents are taking care of that. Like San Diego, pretty much the most perfect city in the country. He is thinking about going to he wants to go live in New York and go to NYU for undergrad. And I'm like, you fool! UCLA is right there.
Exactly.
It's right there. What are you doing?
He's already done that. And when you're young, you don't think about those things. I know because I'm speaking from experience. When I was going to college, I was
went far away from home, and you chose Purdue.
Right. But it never occurred to me that I could go somewhere warm. And I know I could have, but it didn't. I got into
South
Carolina.
My college roommate chose Purdue over Florida State. He was coming from Maine.
I didn't even look at those. Yeah, well, but see, again, Maine isn't New Jersey, but it's still we're still used to winter being cold,
so dark and cold,
and it snows, and you're like, okay, so it does that in Indiana too. That's what winter does. Then you live somewhere like Texas or Florida or LA, and you're like, wait a minute, it's sunny all the time, and everyone's nice and happy and beautiful, and there's parties, and we're outside, and everyone and I can get an education, arguably,
kind of.
Yeah, kind of. As much as I did. I mean, how much it's a good school. People always, Purdue's a good school. Right. But if you don't go to class, it's not like walking around the campus. It's not like that's what makes you smart.
That's great.
I think Caleb asked a question from a while ago, and this is a good chance for me to plug something that I wrote. I know this is a good chance for me to plug something I wrote in 2018. Oh,
you wrote something for Boiled Sports?
I know this is in 2018. Yeah. This was back in my
pre-retirement.
Heyday. Yeah. That is Purdue the best team? Never ranks, number one. The answer was probably not. They were probably one of the best teams, but historically, I think Maryland is probably the best team that's not been ranked
number one, and they won a national title.
Exactly, that's kind of it. And they've been it wasn't a fluke back then. And they in the ACC days, they were really good.
Oh, they were really good.
But Purdue was up there, one of the best teams.
You said Notre Dame was right there too, if I remember correctly.
Notre Dame, BYU, there are, Purdue, Maryland.
I would say the national perception, save Maryland. I would say the national perception is that Purdue is a damn good basketball program, and to never be number one and to never win a national championship.
The other tournament era. The ones that kind of are on this list are here. Basically the four that kind of stand out if you look at their historical thing is BYU, Utah, Maryland, and Purdue. And right now, Purdue is by far the best program, right?
Yeah.
So it's it is kind of wild that Purdue's never been number one. I think that changes this year, but I don't, and that's fun. That's fun in all of this. I kind of want a Final Four, and I kind of want a banner.
You know what though? So this is what I keep saying, because people on Twitter, there's a three-man argument today on Twitter about the number one. Because I said, okay, I want to see UCLA. No, I want to see Gonzaga win tonight, beat UCLA, and then I want to see Gonzaga lose to Duke on Saturday. Pretty simple equation, and then Purdue's number one. It's that, and Purdue holds serve. And beats the teams they're supposed to. Very, very easy, right? So, and then people were like, I'd rather I'm going to the Final Four. I'm like, that wasn't a choice. I didn't say it was this
both and, yeah.
And if they get to number one, I would say we're on a train. We're on a snowball where it feels like, okay, they're one of the favorites now. So get used to what Zach Edey said. Just get used to the fact this isn't number 23 Purdue. And this is a Zach Edey quote. He said, we're not number 23 Purdue. We're one of the best teams in the nation. I was like, okay. Okay.
And they're playing with a confidence they know no hurt. None of them have have these decades
North
of baggage.
Texas hurts.
Good. That's the kind of good hurt.
And I think that leader, Travion Williams, you were talking about, did you watch the end when it hit 0-0? Jay, you may have seen it in person. Mm-hmm. Trey goes over to Eric Hunter, puts one arm around him, and yells something in his ear. And I think he yelled.
I didn't even mention Eric Hunter.
Right. We're not even talking about him. And and I hope other coaches don't think about him. He's great. Whatever. So he yells something in the ear, and I think he said, we're going to win this whole effing thing this year. I think he said, this is the first tournament we win this year. I think it was something along those lines. Those guys want this bad. And this senior class, man, I believe in these guys. And then I believe in the talent behind them. What a nice time to be alive.
And Matt Painter,
Oh,
that's the guy.
So he was getting some casino crab legs this week, I bet. Dipping them in some butter. He was going across to the...
You guys have a beef house here?
Could you point me to the nearest beef house? Man. Any more Twitter questions, Jay? We've stepped all over them.
I have?
No, we have. Did. It's really Aneesh and I, mainly me. I apologize.
Chris Harder says, I'm thankful for beating Scott Frost, beating Kirk Ferentz, IU being 0-8 in the Big Ten, and Purdue basketballing being scary good. This is the most handsome of hours one could want. So everyone's been loving it.
And I gotta tell you, there's a gift from Chris Harder. He literally sent all three of us a gift, and I mailed it to both of you today. I'm not going to say he sent them to me, and I mailed both yours today.
So you're not going to tell us?
I'm not going to tell you.
That's fine. So
pretty awesome.
God bless Matthew Mellick, who goes by Boiler Boy 11, asks regarding football. He says, "Who's the MVP of this year's team? Karlaftis, Bell, or AOC, or other?" And I don't see how it could be anyone but David Bell, because he makes Milton Wright.
I mean, like, yeah.
You can make an argument for O'Connell.
Because here's why, and this is, I don't know if you guys know this, it's on tapes, it's on wordy words. I said it over and over that it wasn't his job. And I've eaten my crow, so I'm not going to eat anymore. Unless I don't care. Shit, I was wrong. Okay. When O'Connell hit his stride, though, that's the fulcrum point of the season, right?
Yep.
Boom. 399, 420, 549 yards, whatever, 546 yards. Give me a break. Those are eye popping.
I will be the guy that keeps saying foundation. The team's foundation does not go as far as it is without George Karlaftis.
Yep.
And so, what's funny is that you can argue all three of these things. This team's foundation is that defense. That defense does not run without George Karlaftis.
And this team is not as good this year without that defense.
Not even close. I think he's David Bell has had the best season. I mean, David Bell is going to win the best receiver in the country award, whatever the Blitnikoff.
It's a shame that Olave isn't invited to that.
I mean, that's wild, right? Neither one of the Ohio State receivers got it. I mean, they are incredible.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. Here's the thing that pisses me off about the internet era.
I mean,
but like you have people, Ohio State fans, they see the finalists for Blitnikoff Award, and then they say none of these guys could start at Ohio State. Well, hey, dumbass, Meyer wanted Bell really, really, really bad, and then he had two other coaches come after him because they thought he would start and he'd be a difference maker.
Mm-hmm.
So don't bring that stuff. I can say this because it's like maybe completely confident in my manhood. I can say those Ohio State receivers are damn good. Guess what? David Bell is one of the best receivers in America.
Yep.
There's just
has had the best season. Like he's the combination of like best receiver and had the best season.
He's leading the Big Ten in yardage, and he didn't play in a Big Ten game. He was out a game. That's a lot. That's a huge stat.
To me, I would say if I had to pick one of those three, it's George. But I think like all of it, it's funny that all of us pick different people, and all of us are right. Like all three of these players have had such good years.
Yep.
It's sad that we're losing, two of them. And they'll be rough. I think it'll be tougher to replace what George has done. But that being said, and I hope
come back too.
I hope AOC comes back. Yeah, George can come back. I think all of them can come
Bell
back. Win the Big Ten.
Sure. Whatever.
No, Bell needs to go fulfill his destiny and go to Arizona or Indianapolis.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Arizona.
He's got to go to Indy.
Because
they keep talking about, and I believe it. The Colts are such a big character organization right now.
Colts can
go
just
get
draft
David
George
Bell.
in it, and
sure,
Giants are cruising towards another good draft pick, so you never know.
Well, I think George is going to be gone in the first round. I think Bell's going to be gone early in the second round. I think the Colts are going to miss both of them.
You sent J Money. You sent a tweet that was mind blowing to me.
I sent it to Aneesh today. Yes.
Who are the 4 assistant coaches on the Giants? On your New York football Giants?
Well, Jason Garrett,
that's the
OC,
thing.
was fired today, but he was the OC. Another assistant coach was Freddie Kitchens. Another assistant coach is Derek Dooley, formerly of Tennessee. And another one, you're going to love this, was Jeremy Pruitt, who's currently suing Tennessee. They have Dooley and Pruitt on staff. 2
former Tennessee coaches and another head coach from the NFC East.
2! Yeah, well, Kitchen was the head coach too.
And I guess he was like another.
He was Cleveland's coach for a year.
Yeah.
A year.
Wild.
It wasn't like it was an interim. He was the head coach.
What is this? What is the NFL coaching carousel? It's just the same guys. It's
Who's
just
making the
same
decisions?
guys.
Who's the GM? What type of moron is running that place?
Gettleman.
Yes.
Gettleman, who used to be the Carolina GM.
He was
bad then. He's been bad.
I am married to a very loud Carolina fan. And yes, and I'm very glad that David Gettleman does not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. So, let's not curse any of our beloved Boilermakers to your Giants.
No, they shouldn't come to this. Not until this franchise
folds,
turns it upside down, and shakes everything out of it. Exactly. Starts over.
Yeah.
Idiots. Stop hiring people who. Oh, this guy was a waiter for Bill Belichick once, so we should hire him as our coach.
Judge Joe Brown.
Yeah.
Judge spent a year as like some sort of like analyst for Saban and a year as a special teams coach for Belichick, and they hired him as a head coach.
Goodness. Yeah, Judge Joe Brown.
Judge Joe Brown.
Judge Joe Brown.
All right.
Is Judge Joe Brown really a judge? That's a really important question.
Yeah,
they're all really judges, which gives you
Judge
just
Judy's really
confidence.
A judge?
Yeah,
I thought they were like
confidence.
I thought it was like an agreement, a TV
system.
thing. They say this is not binding.
But they're all real. They're humans.
They are not animatronics. They are real human beings.
We've been on this for an hour and a half.
Well, this is good. Fun. This has been good. It's been cleansing. I feel good. I feel like I'm ready to face all the tough things that are ahead of me in the form of yams and turkeys and rolls. And
I picked up the cheesecake, by the way. Oh, it looks so good. I will be going to Indiana and buying bourbon at Indiana prices. Oh my goodness, yes.
There's one I want to try. I gotta go see if I can get it for the family. So we'll see. We'll see if I can make the dream come true. Because like I don't know if you get your eye on one and you're like, well, we're Indianapolis. Stuff just isn't there when you go. Like it's so bad. Like I don't know what the Indianapolis distribution with bourbon is. It's so bad. And
supply chain.
Supply chain.
Microchips.
That's right. It's
the chip shortage.
They keep bringing it back in.
Chip shortage
every time. So it has been a pleasure, though. I appreciate you. I
hope many of you listen to this on your drive. I hope you travel safe.
Yep.
I hope you're in your ear holes. So there were so many people. It's so strange every time anybody like what I saw. Homeboy from Nebraska.
Greg McManus. I saw a whole bunch of people. It was very nice. It was very wonderful.
So Greg,
it's so weird, but it's very nice.
So that's really cool. What was that? Was that an awkward handshake hug? What happened there with that meeting?
I was walking down the steps, and we were walking down at the same time. And he started smack talking Nebraska, and I looked at him, and I recognized him from his avatar, and I was like, "I know you."
Yeah. So he's now somebody who's using an avatar that's like 15 years old. Like a realtor does.
I mean, I don't. It could be 15 years old, but he's got a great face. That's what I'm saying.
Wow, that's
and I was coherent enough to remember it. I
started ripping Nebraska, and you were like, "You're my person."
I remember you.
I love.
But there were many people that
is recognized at every event as a Boiled Sports person. Every event, he's like a celebrity. I've made this comment before. People are like, "Oh yeah, I know you. You're Aneesh, though, right?" Like, okay, he's brown. I get it. He's different.
Look at me. I'm pasty. Isn't that worse?
Yeah. People, I don't know. I think more people might recognize Dow just because of the voice.
I don't understand. I think I sound completely like everybody else, but I guess it's not true. One of my son's friends was over to watch the game on Saturday, and he said, "Dude, my dad watches the Quickcast." I'm like, "That's awesome. That's great to hear." And I'm like, "How about you?" He's like, "Nope." We don't reach that demographic.
Nope. Loser.
Right, exactly. You suck, old man. Find me someone. He's a very polite young man. That's wrong for me to say. Yeah. He's a nice kid. We actually missed the fake onside kick because we went to get chicken sandwiches. So literally,
the best reason.
Yeah. So we get in the car, and Purdue is like right about to score. We're like, "Wait, what? Huh? What did we miss?"
That was the greatest.
The grass is so perfect for football. It's fine.
It's right. It was great. There was one play, I can't remember what it was, where somebody cut and there was like this skid mark behind him. And I was like, oh my gosh.
O'Connell slipped rolling out. Remember that one? He went to plant and he didn't just slip. His other leg like folded under him, and I was like, ah! Like
I only saw that on the replay. You couldn't really tell
live
how
it didn't look that bad.
In person, the turf only looked bad when it was the kick, the fake onside kick.
I think the onside kick, like where the ball is being kicked off from, if I looked at it, I believe it was about where they put the fake grass over the infield dirt.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That infield was the problem. That grass was the worst grass on the field all day.
Yeah, because it's not actually deep. Sodded down. It's just laying there,
sitting on the top. Exactly. It's crazy.
It's carpeting. I enjoyed it. There was no way I was going to fly to Chicago for
but you got exactly your scenario. And by the way,
got exactly what I wanted.
Exactly what you wanted. The second half got nice and comfortable. The interesting thing was, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Statistically, it was like exactly what the game should have been because Purdue is averaging like 31.5 points, I think, the last few weeks. Northwestern was averaging 2 touchdowns. You're like, oh, okay, that's
32-13. There we go.
There we go. I mean, goodness gracious. And I really don't know. Was the spread exactly what? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, they beat the spread. It was 11.5.
They beat it. Yeah.
I know that because it was that in the casino as well. You know what sucks is you can't bet on basketball being played literally in the next room. I learned that this weekend.
Wait, what? Like a rule or a law?
I'm sure it's I'm
sure it's you can't have the players or coaches betting on the game.
For a long time, you could never bet on UNLV in Vegas. That was a thing. It might still be a thing. So that's not unheard of, but like I couldn't find them anywhere in the sports book, and I was like, oh wait, that's probably because they're right over there. I can almost see the doors to the arena. So I'm sure that's got something. Not that I can have any influence on the game, but that's why. But because the first day, I'm like, well, wouldn't there be most casinos would want to? There'd be some action on a Purdue North Carolina game.
Sure.
But couldn't do it.
You saw that weird stat that had been since 1970 something since Purdue had beaten North Carolina. 76.
I haven't played them much.
But still, I mean, they've played them. Like I remember in high school one time, Purdue North Carolina played. I think I was a junior or senior in high school, and my friend was for some reason a fair weather North Carolina bandwagon North Carolina. He's wearing North Carolina shorts, like fancy nice shorts, and they beat just the living hell out of Purdue. And I was like, damn, I was so mad because I thought they're going to get over this is it. This is it. Purdue's going to be great. Everything's going to be awesome. No, it's going to be disappointment after disappointment until this year when they win the national championship.
When they win the national championship, and I get your faces tattooed on my bosom.
All right,
it's going to win the whole damn thing.
It's going to be great. So, been a pleasure, guys. Thanks to everybody who tuned in live. Thanks to Martin Vintage. Thanks. Aneesh is wearing a Martin Vintage sweatshirt, one of my favorites. They don't sell that one in my size anymore. I think they have like quad X available, just too bad.
Extra medium.
Yeah. Thanks to if you go to Martin Vintage, enter Boiled at checkout, you know the deal. This week they have a special on an Oaken Bucket T-shirt. It's discounted.
It's awesome.
It's nice. I've got that. We've got that one. And if you enter Boiled, you get additional monies off.
Additional monies off.
Yes. So it's a double discount. Enter?
Please tell me again.
Boiled. Yeah.
What if I want something metallurgical?
If you want something metal based, and I have a guy, I have a couple friends that work for a company. They take giant hunks of leather. Nope, it's not leather. They take
close. Oh, you're so close
right there. I was so good. They take giant chunks of metal. And then they put them into a laser machine and they carve things out of them. And then you cook on them. And then all of your friends want to be like you. It's really that simple. And if you enter Boiled at checkout at gridironmetalworks.com, you get 15% off there too.
Say that again. What's the URL?
It's gridironmetalworks.com. And if you follow them on Instagram, you can see Paul cooking a turkey. I think he called it spatchcocked or something.
I got a spatchcock in the fridge right now.
So this is the thing. I'd never heard of it. So
it's real good. It's the best way to grill a turkey.
And finally, let me give one more shout out to Adam at AJ's. EatAJ's.com. Head over there. When you're on campus this weekend, we've got a late kickoff at 3:30. Get on campus early. Head over. Watch some football. It's going to be a little chilly. Maybe a little rainy. Who knows? But you can go and you can find shelter at AJ's.
Beers. You won't be as cold.
A couple beers, warm up in there, have some meats and some cheeses, and watch some football. AJ's. That's our favorite burger. Go say hi to Adam. Damn it. Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure, guys. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in live. Thank you to everyone who's listening taped and you're driving right now to eat turkey, to gorge yourself. God bless you. Be safe. I look forward to seeing you in Ross-Ade this Saturday. I'm sure I'm going to see all of you. Have a great evening. God bless you.
See you all in New Orleans.
See you in New Orleans. Hammer down. I love you guys. Good night.